Okay, do you have your books? Everyone has their Gita or on your phone or whatever. Do you have your books? Please open your books on chapter 10, text 8. Open your the Gita. So welcome, Lalit Krishna Prabhu is here.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Krishna.
Welcome. Who else? Lalit Krishna Das. Welcome again. Okay. Lalabas naman kung sino yung mga bagong dating eh. Okay. So let us start. Continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay, chapter 10, text 8. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
switch on your microphone so you can respond. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay. So please repeat after me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo.
Aham Sarvasya Prabhavu.
Mataha sarvam pravartate.
Mataha Sarvam Pravartate.
Iti matva bhajante mam.
Bhajante Mam.
Buddha bhava samanvitaha.
Buddha Bhava Samamvita.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo.
Aham Sarvasya Prabhavu.
Mataha sarvam pravartate.
Mataha Sarvam Pravartate.
Iti matva bhajante mam.
Imatva Bhajante Mam.
Buddha bhava samanvitaha.
Buddha
Bhava Samamvitaha.
Okay, anyone can try? One from Mataji and later one from Prabhuji. Any Mataji can try. Please recite the verse like what we did, line by line.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo
Aham
Aham
sarvasya
Sarvasya
prabhavo.
Prabhavu.
matha sarvam pravartate
Mataha
Mataha
sarvam
Sarvam
pravartate.
Pravartate.
iti matva bhajante mam
Iti
Iti
matva
Matva
bhajante
Bhajante
mam.
Mam.
buddha bhava samanditaha.
Buddha
Buddha
Bhava
bhava
Samamvita.
samandita. Okay, anyone from Prabhu? Please try.
Aham Sarvasya Prabhavu.
Aham
Aham
sarvasya
Sarvasya
prabhavo.
Prabhavu. Mata Sarvam Pravartate.
Matha
Mataha
sarvam
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 pravartate.
pravartate
Iti Matva Prajante Mam.
Iti matva
matha bhajante
bhajante
mam
mam.
Buddha Bhava Samandita.
buddha
Buddha
bhava
bhava
samandita.
samandita. Okay, all right. So word for word meaning aham,
Aham.
I.
I.
So who is the I? Who is speaking? Huh? Krishna. Okay. I means Krishna. Huh? Not you, huh? Not me. Sometimes other interpreter, commentators, they are putting themselves in the I. So this I means Krishna, huh? Because he's the one who spoke this Gita. He's the one speaking this verse. Sarvasya
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 of all.
of all.
of all
Prabhavaha,
prabhava
Prabhava.
the source of generation.
The
the
source
source
of
of
generation.
generation.
Mataha,
Mataha.
Mataha
from me.
From me.
Sarvam,
Sarvam.
sarvam
everything.
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 Pravartate,
Pravartate.
emanates.
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 Iti.
Iti.
Das.
Das.
Matwa. Knowing.
No.
Bajante.
Bajante.
Become devoted.
Become devoted.
Ma'am.
Ma'am.
Unto me.
Unto me.
Buddha.
Buddha.
The learned.
The learned.
Or the learned or the learned. Bhava samanvitaha.
Baba Samantitaha.
With great attention. Okay?
Great attention.
Okay. Translation and purport by Divine Grace C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Okay, translation. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Okay. Purport. Please read the purport. Who can read the purport? First paragraph.
A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya and who knows how to apply these teachings can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. All Vedic literatures agrees that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. In the Atharva Veda, Gopala Tapani Upanishad, chapter 1, verse 24, it is said, Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedams Kagapayati Sama Krishna. It was Krishna who is the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past.
Okay, let's stop from there. Okay, now, so last discussion last week, we tackled the verse, same chapter, but it is verse number 9, no? 10:9. And now we go back with one chapter, one verse. So this is chapter, this is text 8. So actually, we are going to discuss the four verses of chapter 10. 10:08, 10:8, 10:9, 10:10, and 10:11. So actually, these four verses, this is what we call the Chatur Shloki of Bhagavad Gita. So Chatur Shloki means the four shlokas or four verses of Bhagavad Gita, which encapsulates, no, or putting the Gita, the whole Gita in a nutshell. This is like the preamble of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Preamble means like it is what defines, no, the whole subject of the Bhagavad Gita. So everything is in these four verses. So in this particular verse 8, so this is like the seed verse, no? It is the seed of love, the seed of prem, no? This is so the key word in this verse, pravartate, So pravartate means emanates. This is the key word. So can you please show in the screen about this okay, Adiguru Prabhu, this picture. So the key word in this verse is emanates. So emanates means what? What do you mean by emanates? Anyone? Emanates means originates, or the source, or the fountain head. So this verse Krishna was speaking, he was not just saying, so this is a declaration. Krishna is declaring that he is the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from Krishna. So this is a very powerful seed verse. This is the most basic understanding. If we focus on this verse and understand its profound meaning, what could happen? Then you become wise. You see the next sentence? The wise who perfectly know. So when we understand the first line, that Krishna is the source of all spiritual and material worlds. So material worlds means the all cosmic planetary system, from the upper, from the lower to the middle. Everything that you are seeing every day, every night, it all originated from Krishna. Krishna is the source of all this material world. He is the creator. It emanates from here, from him, from Krishna. Not just the material world. And it is mentioned in Bhagavatam that the material world is just only 1/4 of the whole manifestation. So the other 1/3, although the spiritual world is unlimited, just to give us an idea, just to give us our limited mind an idea, so we can figure it out how vast, how massive the whole creation. So if you imagine that this material world is already like a massive creation, nobody can measure its beginning and its end. So what to speak about the spiritual world, which is just only a quarter part of the whole creation. So this material world is just 1/4. It's only 25% compared to the whole creation. So material world and spiritual world is all created by Krishna. It originated from Krishna. Remember the verse from Brahma Samhita? No? The 5:1, which we always recite, the beginning, the Iswara Parama verse. So it is mentioned there that Sarva Karana Karanam. What it means? I am the source of everything. So Krishna is the source. So it means, if Krishna is the source, if everything comes from Krishna, so it is only proper that we offer respect to him, that we offer worship to him, because he is the supreme creator. So this is a crystal clear that Krishna is the supreme fountainhead of everything. So even the demigods, it came from Krishna. They originated from Krishna. They all came from Krishna. Brahma, Shiva, Durga, Ganesh, name it. There are millions of demigods. In India, they worship 33 million demigods. So name them all. Name them all. But they all came from Krishna. Everything emanates from Krishna. So Krishna created them all. So it means Krishna is the supreme. So this is a declaration from Krishna that everything comes from him. Okay? Now, if we understand that Krishna is the source of everything, so it is wise. It is wise to think that we should worship him, because he is the supreme Godhead. That's why in the following sentence, it is mentioned, the wise who perfectly know this. So if you know that Krishna is the supreme Godhead, so naturally, what you will do? You will engage in his devotional service. So you will worship him, because we have nothing. Everything comes from Krishna. So what we should do is to become grateful, offer our gratitude in service, in seva. So engage in devotional service and worship Krishna with all their hearts. So not just only worship Krishna. So you have to give all your hearts. What? Bhava samanvitaha So bow, with great attention. Later we will try to expound it. Okay? Continue. Please continue the purport. Where are we now? The Upanishad continues. Someone please read it. So if you have some question, you can immediately raise your hand so we can entertain you. So, okay, Kuya Kabi Prabhuji is already here. Who else? Marge is also here. Kevin Prabhu. Okay, Kuya Kabi, you're raising your hands. Okay, please speak.
No. I'm just saying Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay, good. Okay, please continue reading. The Upanishad continues on that part. Also, Sanandana Prabhu's wife is there. Okay, Haribol.
I will continue, Prabhu.
Okay, please continue.
Then again, the Naraya Upanishad says, Ata paruso havai narayano kamayata praja shreyeti. Then the Supreme Personality Narayana desired to create living entities. The Upanishad continues, Narayanad Brahma Jayate, Narayanad Prajapati Prajayate, Narayanad Indro Jayate, Narayanad Astav Vasava Jayante, Narayanad Ekadasa Rudra Jayante, Narayanad Devadasi Detya. From Narayana, Brahma is born, and from Narayana, the patriarch are also born. From Narayana, Indra is born. From Narayana, the 8 Vasus are born. From Narayana, the 11 Rudras are born. From Narayana, the 12 Adityas are born. This Narayana is an expansion of Krishna.
Okay. So this is clear that everything, no?
Kuya
Even
Rex,
Narayan. Yes? What's that? Even Lord Narayana, so, he also manifested from Krishna. He was created by Krishna. So what's to speak of those other personality that came from Narayan? So from Narayan, Brahma was born. And from Brahma, he created so many personalities like the Vasus, the Rudras, no? So Rudras means the 11 forms of Shiva, and other progenitors, So Krishna is the source. He is the cause of all causes. You have to remember this. All beings, elements, energies, material and spiritual, it originates from Krishna. Okay, so continue. It is said in the same Vedas, please. Others,
it is
please
said
read.
The same Vedas, Brahmanyo.
Others. Can others,
yes,
can we
Prabhu.
give chance to others? Please read.
A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas.
No. It is said in the Vedas, in the same Vedas.
It is said in the same Vedas.
Yes.
It is said in the same Vedas, Brahmanyo Devaki Putraha.
Yes.
O son of Devaki, Krishna is the Supreme Personality, Narayan, Upanishad 4. Then it is said, Eko by Narayan, Asina Brahmane, no Napo, Nagi, Somaun, Nemed, Dia Aprivi, na Naksatrani na Surya. In the beginning of the creation, there was only the Supreme Personality Narayan. There was no Brahma, no Shiva, no water, no fire, no moon, no heaven and earth, no stars in the sky, no sun. Maha Upanishad. The Maha Upanishad is also said that Lord Shiva was born from the forehead of Supreme Lord. Thus the Vedas say that it is the Supreme Lord, the creator of Brahma and Shiva, who is to be worshipped.
Yes. Okay. So this is clear. So this purport, this is like the answer to why we worship Krishna, why not Shiva, why not Brahma, why not the other demigods. Though, we also offer respect to them, also some kind of worship. We also respect them, but in different mood, not as the supreme Godhead, not as a supreme source, no, but as a servant, no, or subordinate of Krishna. So we must be very careful about this, So sometimes you could you will see some different personalities like demigods in the altar of the devotees like Ganesh, Shiva, like even Lakshmi, Durga, or Hanuman. So, but our purpose is uh, we worship them, we offer also respect to them, not because that we consider them as the supreme source or supreme Godhead. Our main purpose, no, because they are also servant of Krishna, that's why we also offer respect to them, and they're not ordinary human beings. They are demigods. They hold a different high position. So we also offer respect to them. So never disrespect them. No, sometimes most of the times, no, some devotees they are uh, like so fanatical that they they only consider Krishna as all in all, and they disregard other demigods, and sometimes by disregarding them because of this knowledge, they already like disrespecting the demigods, and they also disrespecting the followers or worshippers of these demigods. So it's really kind of improper to possess that kind of behavior or attitude. So we should be conscious, no, about this particular position of the demigods, how we should deal with them, So this is the right mood or attitude, huh? We we offer respect to them or we offer worship to them, not out of what? Out of respect to their position as topmost servant of Krishna. They are like in the no different level category of serving Krishna. So they are more advanced than us. So why you have so then why you have to why there's the need to disrespect them, We are we are our devotion is far away from their devotion. They are great devotees of Krishna. They hold no important seva. Okay, so continue. In the Moksha Dharma. Please continue reading. Who would like to read?
Okay. I can read.
Yes.
In the Moksha Dharma section of the Mahabharata, Krishna also says, Prajapatim cha Rudram chapi aham eva shrijamivai tauhimam na vijanito mamamaya vimohitau. The patriarchs Shiva and others are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me because they are deluded by my illusory energy. In the Varaha Purana, it is also said, Narayanaha Parodevas Tasmad Jatash Chaturmukha Tashmad Rudro Bhavadeva Satcha Sharva Jatam Gataha. Narayan is the supreme personality of Godhead, and from him Brahma was born, from whom Shiva was born.
Okay. So Krishna or Prabhupada, again, he repeated multiple times, no, about the position of the demigods, no. See, it's like he was trying to tell us that Shiva and Brahma and even Narayan, they are all subordinate to Krishna. So this is the essence of this purport. So, and it is stated in many verses or slokas in different Puranas or scriptures. But all those, okay, take a look on this purport. Though they were created by Krishna, though they do not know that they are created by me. You understand? Because they are covered by Mahamaya, illusory energy. Okay? So Brahma, Shiva, and other demigods, they were created by Krishna, but they do not know that they were created by Krishna. You understand? That's why some of their followers believe that they were the supreme. Because even their worshipable demigods, they were not aware that they were created by Krishna himself. Though Krishna has given us this guidance or guidelines or these scriptures in order to understand the whole tattva or the whole truth about the position of these different demigods. Okay, Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me. No one is above me. Okay, you understand? Everything are subordinate of Krishna. No one is above Krishna. All the different avatars, all the different incarnations, all the different demigods and other personalities, they are all, Krishna is above them all. They are all born from Krishna. Krishna is original source. Okay? There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller. Though, sometimes, we call other demigods as also Iswara, controller. But they are minute controller. They can control some of the affairs of material activities in the material world. They have this position. It's like we can compare this in the government system, no? Where there is a prime minister, then he has subordinates like the senators, congressmen. So they have given powers, no, of administrative powers. So they consider themselves also as leaders or controllers because they have the power to to conduct mandations or mandatory laws or anything. So they have this given some legislative powers, but ultimately their source of power is from the prime minister. So whatever the prime minister would instruct that they have to follow. So the same way, Krishna is the source of everything. He is the supreme powerful. So even these demigods, this different personality, has given some minute power as controllers or Iswara. Sometimes in some scriptures, they are also being called as Bhagavan or sometimes as Iswara. But the Param Iswara means the supreme controller is Krishna. So you have to understand this. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. One who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master with references from Vedic literature engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. So Prabhupada is very straightforward. He has the right. He has the right to call others as fools, rascals, and other such kind of terms. But but for like in these present times for us, we should be like a little bit cautious or careful when uttering this kind of word, because sometimes if we always insist that if they don't worship Krishna, they are considered as fool, unintelligent, rascal. So sometimes instead of attracting people, we turn them off away, no? Because of our arrogance. Sometimes it happens, not sometimes, most of the times, I always hear these kind of things, no? Sometimes those who are trying to preach or speak something, they are like, no, like seemingly becoming like an arrogant. If they started calling others like nonsense, fools, rascals, because somehow they don't worship Krishna directly. Okay, so since that we are we should be very careful regarding these things. Otherwise, instead of attracting them, instead of getting some empathy with them, we lose them, and we get different impression, no? We will have giving them different kind of impression. Okay, so only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna-conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. Okay. Unauthorized commentaries. So there are thousands of versions of Bhagavad Gita. So others are unauthorized. So it's better to stick, to Bhagavad Gita as it is, or other commentaries from our line of acharyas, like different, like Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, and other authorized commentators of Bhagavad Gita. Because if you go to the markets, what's a bookshop, they will offer you different versions of Bhagavad Gita. And they all have different opinions, different commentaries. So you will be, if you try to read them, you will become bewildered. So in order for you to become fixed, on your interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, just proceed in your Krishna consciousness with determination. Okay. So we had finished the whole purport. So do you have any questions or additions or clarifications? Please raise your hands and speak up. Anything? Okay, listen to me. Listen to this. So this verse, it has some secret meaning, no? So the word bhav, let us go back again to the verse. Bhav saman vitaha. So it means with great attention. In other translation, it was mentioned with whole hearts, with all our hearts. So actually this bhav, it talks about Mahabhav. And who is the personification of Mahabhav? Of Bhav? Who is the embodiment of Mahabhav? No other than Srimati Radharani. So Radharani, indirectly, she was in this verse. She is in this verse because she is the Haladini Shakti of Krishna, pleasure-giving energy, the source from which all devotees' bhav arises. So this bhav will only be awakened with the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So the description, it says that the wise worship Krishna with bhav saman vitaha, endowed, infused with bhav. So they worship him, we worship Krishna by following in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Because without her grace, without her mercy, no soul can attain real bhav. So we can only offer, worship me with all their hearts. So in the word by word translation, Bab Saman Bitaha, Prabhupada gave with great attention. But in the real translation, Prabhupada mentioned, worship me with all their hearts. So all their hearts, not just 1/4 or half of your heart. So who are these people? Who are these devotees who are given their whole hearts to Krishna? They are the gopis. They are the resident of Braj. So especially Srimati Radharani. So the gopis, they had given their whole hearts to Krishna. Remember when Uddhavaji arrived in Nandagaon, Uddhav, he was telling the gopis, Krishna is within our hearts. So even if Krishna is away, just meditate. He is within our hearts. That is true, no? Krishna is within our hearts. But you know what did the gopis reply to Uddhavji? So the gopis told Uddhavji, yes, you are right. But how can we meditate within our hearts? We already given our hearts to Krishna. And our hearts were taken away by Krishna when he left Braj. So we have given away all our hearts to him. Now we don't have any hearts. So, my devotional service, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So it means these devotees who worship Krishna with all their hearts, who have given their whole hearts to Krishna, is the gopis, the residents of Braj, especially Srimati Radharani. So this is what do you mean by Bhav Samambitaha, Bhava Samambitaha. The source of all Bhava is Srimati Radharani. Okay. So the essence of Bhav, is Radharani's prem, Radha's love. So we connect with Krishna through the rays of her devotion. So this is how we could engage. This is how we could give all our hearts to Krishna, by asking the mercy of Srimati Radharani, by worshiping Srimati Radharani, not just Krishna. That's why it is easy to attain the mercy of Krishna if we worship Radharani and get the mercy of Radharani. Okay. So that is the hint. And Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he gave the hint that the wise that which was mentioned in this verse, Buddha. Buddha means wise. It means are those who understand that Krishna is conquered only by Radharani's mood of love. So this is the commentary of our Acharya, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. So the above mentioned is the how Srimati Radharani offer her love to Krishna. So we have to follow in the footsteps, in the mood and attitude of the gopis. Okay. So anything else you want to add? Okay. Anyone? Okay. Kuya Kavi Prabhuji, come on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Give us your timeless wisdom.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, okay.
So, number 1 is that you mentioned that devotees we respect the demigods, but we don't worship the demigods. Yeah. And we only worship Krishna. And it is also mentioned in the scripture that if you worship Krishna, then you are not obliged to any of these devatas or the rishis or the forefathers and all those things.
Yes.
So my question is that Why is it that devotees, they don't perform Shraddha? Even though they are not, even though for those who are not on the pure platform, they are not completely surrender, but they don't follow the traditions of the Vedic rituals. I will give an example.
Yes.
For example, when Lord Ramachandra came, even though he's the supreme God, he performed Shraddha.
Yes. Yes.
Even Krishna himself performed Shraddha.
Even Lord Chaitanya.
When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he went to perform Shraddha.
Yeah.
But devotees, in the mood of, oh, we are pure devotees, they don't follow these Vedic cultures. and now we are in the month of this Shraddha.
Yes, yes.
And it's going to come to an end on 21. So why devotees become carried away and become fanatics about, oh, we are devotees, but we don't follow, even though we know that we are not so pure on that level of pure devotees, but still we don't follow the Vedic rules. Please expatiate on this. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, here in India, because it is part of their culture, tradition, I see and I know many devotees who still follow these things. Only here in Braj, you can see Braj, they are already like pure devotees of Krishna. So they are like naturally, they are engaged in spontaneous loving service to Krishna. But still, they follow all these kind of things. They are doing Shraddha, they are offering worship to different demigods. So, because it is part of their culture, they still follow it. But for us who are foreign, which is we are being brought up, or our upbringing is far away from these kind of things. We see, increase the consciousness. There are already so many things that we should follow, which is like very foreign to our upbringing, to our own culture. So increase the consciousness along, in the different rules and regulations in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. We are already bombarded and overwhelmed by so many different practices. So what to speak of the whole Vedic practices or whole Hindu traditions that is included, because this is the consciousness practice or bhakti is just a small chunk of the whole Vedic practices. So if we cannot follow even in our own devotional practices of some of the different practical or instructions, then so it's really, really very hard to follow other things that which is not in the scope. It is not in the scope of our devotional path, or which is not even emphasized or prioritized. Because it is it is very foreign for us. But here in India, it is part of their culture. So those who are being introduced to Krishna consciousness, to the path of bhakti, although they were already like initiated, they were already like practicing for so many years, still they are following their own traditions. They are following different festivals, like this Shraddha or other festivals of the demigods. Because it's part of their, it is in their blood. That's why sometimes even there are some verses, or that they are hearing lectures that we should not worship the demigods, we should not do like this. But when you scratch the surface, especially those who are with a Hindu background or Indian background, you can see in their life that they are still attached. They couldn't easily give up the worship of these different personalities. Why? Because it is part of their blood. It is flowing in their bloodline, in their veins. They have these obligations or duty, or even it's not obligation or duty. it's like they become used to it. That when they see Shiva temple, they come to offer respect. When they see a people tree, they will offer respect. When they see a banyan tree, they will offer respect. When they see a Murti of goodness, they will offer respect. So when there are some festivals going on, even in the eyes of those who are following Bhakti tradition, we are seeing it like we are thinking that it is not unnecessary. We are thinking that there is no need to worship these things. But for them, it is part of their upbringing. They could there's no harm with that, huh? They know how to offer respect. Because there's no need to disrespect them because it is part of their culture. It is part of their life, and it is what it is also essential. It is also it is what an impetus for them in order for them to advance more in Krishna consciousness because of their of these upbringings and traditions that they have. So that is their advantage. So I don't think that others already forgot this. There is I still see many devotees, but for us who are living outside India, outside the Vedic traditions, we don't even know what is Shraddha. Most of us here in our class, we don't even know what is Shraddha. Shraddha means what? It's like an offering prayers for the departed ones, for our ancestors.
Yeah.
So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya in Bihar, and he offered also Shraddha. Okay, Prabhu. Kuya Prabhuji.
Yeah, because why people why because many of us we came somehow or the other due to our previous karma we come in a particular family.
Yeah.
And because of coming from that family, the forefathers of those family we are coming from, their blood run through in our veins.
Yes.
So sometimes when they are disturbed, we also will become disturbed in the mind and the consciousness and all those things, you know. And many of us we don't even know sometimes why we do what we do, what is happening to us. Sometimes we want to do something different, but we cannot do something different.
And it is their personal practice, like in Philippines. Sometimes in All Souls Day or All Saints Day, still some devotees they go to cemeteries to offer respect to their loved ones or departed loved ones. Though they have the knowledge that there is no that their family members were not there in the cemetery. That's because they are not this. They have this basic philosophy that we are not this body. So it's like a bones that is already that was buried under the ground. But still, they offer respect. So we cannot immediately take away this kind of things because it's also like showing respect to our family members. So it is their. So it has something to do with the practice of devotional life. It's not going to affect their advancement. So this is their personal practices that we have nothing to do about it. So we cannot judge them while they are doing these things. No, so it's just like that. Understand?
Yes, Prabhu. Because sometimes, like it's mentioned, like you just said, it is mentioned in the scripture that on Amavasya night, the forefathers they come to earth to look at their generation.
Yes.
So that is why some of them are suffering. So they expect some of their descendants to offer them some things to liberate them, like for we devotees, we can offer prasadam and all those things. Just that is why it's one of the arguments that Arjuna gave to Krishna. Krishna, if we kill all the men, the women will become unprotected. Then the family tradition will be destroyed. And so this offering of Shraddha is the family tradition that was mentioned in that particular passage. I'm just bringing this up because sometimes as a devotee, I'm not like trying to encourage you doing all these rituals, but as a devotee, it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when you become a pure devotee, then you are not indebted to any of these. You don't need to perform all these things. But we can see that many of us, we are not pure devotee yet.
Yeah.
So, and since we are not pure devotee yet, why should we give up some tradition that will give us some pious activity to become pure, so if possible?
But I don't think that we have given up this tradition because it's not really our tradition. And for example, in Philippines, we have our own way how to honor our departed loved ones.
Ancestors.
Our ancestors. They also offer something, to the photos. Sometimes they go to cemeteries, they offer prayers. So now some devotees, I can see that if they during this during this commemoration of the loved ones, sometimes they offer them flowers, they offer them prasad, they offer kirtan. So still, so it's not necessarily that we could say that we have given up these things. So we have our own personal way how to offer respect to our lovers. And I know devotees, they still remember their lovers. And for sure, because they are already like Krishna conscious, they will also offer prayers for their loved ones in order for Krishna to deliver them. I know that for sure because we already know how powerful like offering prayers for in behalf of our departed loved ones. So I don't think that we have given up. We just have different way, how to show respect.
Very good.
For them.
Thank you very much for clearing that. And I have another question, a little bit funny. Okay. This one is regarding to what you said. You mentioned that you said that the Gopi said that because they have given their hearts to Krishna, and that is why they cannot meditate on Krishna. So my question is that, is it because the devotees are giving their heart to Krishna, that is why sometimes they are not compassionate to others? So because they don't have any hearts anymore.
Actually, no, the Gopis, they only told Uddhava like that they have given their hearts. But actually, they always think of Krishna. They always meditate on Krishna. They even ask Uddhava a mantra how to forget Krishna. So this is the twist. This is the twist of that story. Although they given their hearts, Krishna is within their hearts. Now the Gopis, their hearts is already with Krishna. So they thought, so the Gopis thought that if they give their hearts to Krishna, then they would forget Krishna. But it's not the case. So even their hearts were already given to Krishna, but they always think of Krishna. They still always think of Krishna, not just for some time, but every moment, like 24 hours a day. That's why they want to get rid of Krishna. So they ask Uddhava to give them a mantra how to forget Krishna. So so that's the difference. So even like for us, we cannot even give our whole hearts, no? So the Gopis, they can give their hearts because they still have, even they have given their hearts, they still couldn't get rid of Krishna. They always think of Krishna. So, and they wanted to get rid of Krishna. So that is the difference. When Uddhava heard how the Gopis reacted and how the Gopis requesting him to give them mantra in order to forget Krishna. So he was really shocked, about the devotion, about the consciousness, no? So this is the real Krishna conscious personalities. They always think of Krishna. They even wanted to forget about Krishna. Okay. Anything else you wanted to add? Jagadvira is now here.
Since there is there's no any hand, so just to make the class more interactive, I will just say something regarding Vishnu and Krishna. Narayana and Krishna.
Yes.
I remember there was one time one Indian man came to the temple and he was telling me, we were talking about Krishna. I was telling him about Krishna. So he was telling me, oh, yeah, we believe in Krishna. But, you know, Krishna is the 8th incarnation of Narayan, you know, of Vishnu, you know. So there's this conception in India that Krishna is from Vishnu or Narayan, like that.
Yes.
That Narayan is higher. But they cannot understand the personality of Krishna because it's completely beyond their imagination. So, as a devotee, when we come across this kind of people, we don't need to argue with them about who is the source, whether Krishna or Narayan. No need to argue with them. If they say Narayan is because
Krishna is Narayan,
they tell you
so
Narayan is because
there's no harm with that if they wanted to worship Narayan. So it means they are worshiping Krishna.
Yeah, if they tell you Narayan,
better not to disturb them.
Because it's okay.
Unless you are Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya had converted all the Lakshmi Narayan worshippers in South India, and they became worshippers of Radha Krishna. So that is the case of Gopal Bhatt Goswami's father and uncle, no? Venkabat Goswami and Prabodhananda Saraswati Goswami. So they are from South India. They are worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan. They are like hardcore worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan. But because of association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for 4 months, he stayed there in their house during Chaturmas. So after that, he had converted these worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan, the South Indian Brahmins, into worshippers of Radha Krishna. Then the uncle of Gopal Bhatt Goswami, Prabodhananda Saraswati Goswami, he immediately went to Vrindavan. So he is one of the first, no? He wrote the Vrindavan Mahimamrita.
So, Prabhu.
Yes.
In connection to this, your explanation now I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. And my question is, why is it that Krishna cannot stop the son of the Brahmana from dying?
What is that?
Know? Why is it that Krishna cannot stop the son of the Brahmana dying in Dwarka? Do you remember that pastime in Krishna book?
Okay.
When in Dwarka, the son of the Brahmana, every time the wife will give birth, the child will die. Every time the wife will give birth, this child will die. Then Arjuna came to Dwarka. And this Brahmana came at that time, and he was saying, what kind of king do we have? He cannot even protect the citizen. A child is dying even before his birth. We must have a very sinful king. He cannot even protect us. That. He was criticizing Krishna and Ugrasena. Then Arjuna was boasting. Oh, Brahmana, don't worry. When your wife is about to born, this time around, I will be the one to protect your son. And the Brahmana told Arjuna, who are you, Arjuna? If Krishna cannot protect my son, who are you to protect? Then Arjuna was boasting. You don't know me? I am the carrier of Gandiva bowl. So Arjuna was boasting like that.
Then?
So what happened was, then when the wife of the Brahmana was about to give birth to a child, Arjuna shot his arrow to cover the house in all areas so that no death personified cannot enter there to take the child. He covered everywhere the arrow, but still the child dies. Then Arjuna became morose because he already gave his word that if the child dies, he will kill himself. Then Arjuna, at that time, Krishna was looking at him. Why do you have to take such vow without taking my permission? Then Krishna told him, okay, let's go now. Let's go and bring back the son of the Brahmana. So they started going to all the different planets. They went to the abode of Yamaraj. The son was not there. They went to different abodes. The child was not there. Then they now went to where Mahavishnu was lying. So the child actually was Mahavishnu who was taking the child. So why is it, my question now is, Why is it that Krishna cannot protect the child from Mahavishnu taking him if Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead?
Yes. Okay. So, this Leela wanted to show the position, the supremacy of Krishna to Narayan, to Mahavishnu. So actually, it is not that Krishna couldn't protect the sun. No. So it was arranged by Mahavishnu. So this son, they were kidnapped, no? They were brought to the abode of Narayan. And now Arjuna and Krishna wanted to bring back, he wanted to bring back these sons, these dead sons. So they go to the abode of Narayan in Bangkunta. So Mahavishnu, Narayan arranged these things in order for Mahavishnu to Lord Narayan to have the darshan of Krishna. That is the essence of this pastime. He wanted to offer respect and finally see Krishna. Because he was created by Krishna, but he never had a chance to have a darshan. So now, Mahavishnu arranged this pastime in order to finally have the darshan of Krishna. So this is the essence of this pastime. So Mahavishnu confirmed that Krishna in Dwarka and Krishna in Vrindavan, or Krishna in Vrindavan. So he confirmed that Krishna is the original source of all expansions and even himself. So he mentioned this, that even myself, Mahavishnu, I am long to see Krishna because I also came from Krishna. There's no doubt Krishna could bring anytime the sons of Brahmana, because he is the master of birth, death, and time. But deep in this pastime, he wanted to display his supremacy to all the universe, to all the gods, because they approach different gods. Even Mahavishnu, they exist for the sake of Krishna's play. So this is the essence of this pastime. And Arjuna's pride was even tested and purified. He saw that even his greatest warrior skill was useless without Krishna. Because on that particular moment, Arjuna became like a little bit of puff up and little bit of proud. Now Krishna wanted to tame his pride, to teach him that Arjuna's victorious achievement, he could only achieve it because of Krishna's presence. Okay. Is that clear? So
thank you very much, Prabhu.
It reveals the position of Krishna. It established clearly that Krishna is higher than Mahavishnu. That is the essence of this pastime. Is the ultimate origin. You see, even Mahavishnu, he has this longing. He has this longing to have a darshan of Krishna. Anything else? Okay, now can we have
There's another one, Prabhu.
Okay.
Dr. Errol.
Yes, please.
Prabhu, I just wanted to say that there's a question on our comment section from Mother Rasa Rasarani.
Okay, where is it? Sorry, I did not, I couldn't see it. Okay, please read it.
Where? Adi Guru Prabhu.
Okay, let me read that. It was...
Adi Guru Prabhu. Adi Guru Prabhu.
Yeah.
Please, can you remove the screen so that the speaker picture will be showing whenever he's speaking?
Okay, sure. All right. The question of Mata Rasa, it was mentioned in the purport that the demigods and other progenitors weren't aware that Krishna is the source of all creation because they were covered by illusory energy. So why do they need to be covered by Yoga Maya instead of disclosing the real personality of the Supreme Lord.
Okay. Same situation like how the residents of Braj are being covered by spiritual potency of Krishna, the Yoga Maya potency. So actually, not only the demigods, we are all covered by this material illusory energy, So we are thinking that we are the Lord of all that we could survey. So 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 this is part of the for the whole lila, no? So because if the demigods, if they're not covered with this illusory energy of Krishna, the Mahamaya energy, then the whole pastime will collapse, no? The whole pastime will collapse. So they should be covered. They should, in order for us, no, to learn and to become purified, you know, in order for us to rectify about our different desires, about our different imperfection, about the different activities. So in the same way, the demigods, because they have some specific roles to perform. So if, so so somehow they should be like for for the meantime to be covered. Then later on, no, so this because later on with the with the appearance of different acharyas who will teach us, no, in order to revive and uncover the illusory energy. So this also will give glorification, will also give enlightenment, and it will highlight, no, the position and the importance and the essentials of different acharyas, different personalities, sages, and saints, no, that will enlighten them, that will uncover the illusion. So everything should be like under the, the different kind of in order for the lila to flow smoothly. Okay. So they were covered as the same like the residents of Braj are covered with Yoga Maya. That's why there are two energies, the Mahamaya energy and the Yoga Maya energy. Yoga Maya energy is in charge of the spiritual world. This is the energy that covers the residents of Braj, that Krishna is the supreme Godhead, and the Mahamaya energy, that is the illusory energy that covers the jivas, unlimited jivas, including us, including the demigods. So we are thinking that we are also the Lord of everything. We are thinking that we are also Lord of everything that we could serve it. So we are trying to lord over material nature. So this is how it works. And in order to overcome this, what is the verse? There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Daivi Shakti Mahamaya. What is that? So there's the verse that we can easily overcome it by surrendering to Krishna.
Devi Yesha Guna Maya Mama Maya
Yes.
Gratia ya.
Yes.
Mame ba ye papa di ante Maya mitam tarantite.
Yes, that is the verse. So because everything should work naturally. Krishna doesn't want immediately that you surrender to him. If they are covered, then they would see that Krishna is the supreme. Everyone will see that Krishna is supreme. So everyone will worship Krishna. Then there's no sense in creating this material world. So Krishna wanted us to voluntarily develop naturally, spontaneously our love to him. Because in the blink of an eye, Krishna could immediately, if he wanted to make us all his devotees. He's the supreme. So why he has to do all these different troubles and all these things. But that's not the way how Krishna wanted to love him. We need to love him spontaneously, naturally, just like the gopis of Braj, less like the residents of Braj. Okay. Understand?
Understand, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, now let us go to one pastime, Mukta Charitra Lila. This is a very wonderful pastime. It is about the Pearl Lila, Pearl story, Perlas, this gem, Pearl gem. So it grows where? Where you can get the pearls, huh? Okay, let us see who are in the class. Danabil Prabhu is here, so welcome. Rebati Nandan Prabhu. Okay, Raira and Toto still here. Okay, welcome. So now let's go to the second part of our discussion. I will give you a little bit of pastime. So this is called the Mukta Charitra Lila, or the Pearl story. So here there is one kunda here, Mukta Kun. They call it the Mukta Kun. Mukta means pearl. So one time during Kartik, Diwali celebration, the gopis, they are busy. So in Malayahari Kund, here in Braj, so the gopis and Radharani, they were busy, stringing different pearls, valuable pearls, making garland of pearls for decorations. Then Krishna heard about these things, so immediately Krishna went to the scene in Malayahari Kund. So Krishna, when he saw the gopis, they are stringing the pearls, so Krishna asked them to give him also some pearls. So he could decorate also and make some jewelries to decorate his cows, his favorite cows. So Krishna has two favorite cows, Hamsi and Harsini. And the gopis, when they heard Krishna asking for the pearls, they ignore Krishna. Seems like, they did not see anyone. So again, Krishna repeat and approach them that to give him a pearl. Don't act like you don't see me. Are you, because Krishna uttered these words that is your pride is as big as the pearl, as the price of the pearl that it covers your ear, that it covers your ears, that you become dumb. So when Lalita and the gopis heard this, they just glanced with each other and smiled. And finally, Lalita uttered a word. So Lalita told Krishna, let me see if I could find a pearl suitable for your cows. So Lalita, he, scanned the different pearls. Then finally, Lalita told Krishna, I couldn't find any single pearl that is suitable for your cows. We don't have any rejected pearls. So you better get out of here. So Krishna, he was humiliated. And Krishna went home. He was like almost crying, because of this because of the humiliation that came from Lalita and the gopis, and they were laughing when Krishna left. So Krishna immediately approached his mother, Yashoda Maya. So Krishna told Yashoda Maya, Maya, please give me your pearls. I will plant the pearls, and after 3 to 4 days, I will harvest a lot of pearls. Then Yashoda Maya, she was laughing. Then again, Krishna insisted, please, give me your pearls. Yashoda Maya told Krishna, Are, Lala, we all knew that pearls, they grow and you can get them in oceans, not in soil. They grow out of the ocean, not in soils, like in oysters, or different other fishes. But then Krishna insisted, no, Maya, Maya, I promise you, we will harvest a lot of pearls. So Yashoda Maya, out of love and affection to his son, to his beloved son. So she gave all her pearls, and Krishna grabbed them home and tied it, wrap it around his cloth. So Krishna went to Muktakund, here in Nandagaon. So Krishna arranged the plot of his land. He built his garden and started cultivating and the soil. And now he planted all the pearls. He made different. He made his garden. Then he covered it with earth, with soil. Then he, in order to protect it, he put some fences. Then now, Krishna, he told his friends, the cover boys, to go to the gopis and ask for the milk and ghee, because he wanted to use that milk and ghee to water his pearls, his seed of pearls, in order to grow. So he will just use the milk for watering. So the cover boys, they went to the gopis and they relay the story, the request of Krishna. Then the gopis, they all laugh out loud, no? Hey, don't engage us in your stupid nonsense activity. Tell Krishna that he go somewhere else. He better use the milk of his own cows, where he is going to decorate his pearls. if it would even happen. And they're just laughing and laughing, So the cover boys, they failed their mission. They couldn't get anything from the cover girls. So they told Krishna that he should just use his own milk in their house. This is what the gopis told them. So now Krishna, he uses the milk from their own cows, and he started watering his soil, his garden. And the gopis, when they heard about this, they were all laughing when they passed by. When they passed by the garden of Krishna, they were laughing out loud. So look at this Krishna. He already like out of his mind. Look at what he's doing. He's just wasting the milk. He's wasting the ghee. And we know that it will only produce nothing but weeds and thorns. So this is what the gopis, they're all laughing with each other. They are mocking and teasing Krishna. So after 4 days or 3 days, there were a sprout coming out of the soil from the ground of Krishna's garden. And Krishna, he was so happy. So immediately he told Mother Yashoda, Maya, there was a sprout coming out from our garden, and after a few days we will going to harvest a lot of pearls. And Maya, out of love, he just became like stunned and wondered how it was possible that a sprout came out from the ground, because he just planted a pearl. So he was thinking that maybe she was thinking that maybe it's just weed or something. So, but he did not show his doubtfulness. He just embraced Krishna and kissed Krishna and continue. So he just encouraged Krishna to do his thing. So now, after few more days, the vines continue to grow, and Krishna, in order to protect the vines, he attached it to some kadam trees, so the vines could climb over kadamba trees. And after a few more days, the garden fructifies a lot of pearls. So Krishna have made this miracle that he made the pearl grow on the soil, and the whole tree of the kadamba tree, all the pearls are shining brightly, valuable pearls, It is more valuable than the gopis' pearls. And now the gopis heard about this. And they saw that the garden of Krishna is full of valuable pearls. So they started talking to each other. We should also plant, huh? We should also plant our own pearls like what Krishna did. Then we will have more pearls than Krishna. So now the gopis, they took all the pearls and they even asked their elders, their father, their parents, they asked their parents to give them all the pearls. In return, they will multiply it by harvesting a lot of pearls. So the parents, they gave all the gopis their pearls, whatever possessions they have. So now, the gopis, they started digging, also making their own garden. So they tried to copy what Krishna did. Huh? They also water their garden with milk. So they also requested their parents and other elderly villagers to give them milk and ghee in return, that they would uh, also give them pearls. So they have collected all the milks and different ghee. And after a few days, one gopi, so she saw that a sprout coming out from the garden. But she confided to the gopis that this sprout is seemingly far compared to Krishna's garden. It's not what we had seen few days ago. Looks like it is different kind of sprout. Then after a few more days, they were shocked that the garden, it grows some weeds and thorny plants grow up from their garden. So when the gopis saw it, oh no, we should hide it. No, we should hide these things. We should build more fence in pretense that we are protecting our plants. So the gopis, they build fences, but after a few days, all the bushes, it become so big that they couldn't hide it anymore. And it just, what they got is only thorny bushes. And the gopas, our boys, when they heard it and when they saw it, they laugh and teases them and mock them. So the gopis, they were embarrassed. They were ashamed. They couldn't face Krishna because what they have produced is nothing but weeds and thorns. So now, they meet each other. They don't know what to do because they have collected all the milks and ghee from their elders, from their parents, and they also collected all the pearls. So how they could return it? So now, Lalita suggested that we should approach Krishna and ask for the pearls. So, and the Rani told the gopis, after what we did to Krishna, I don't think that he would give us the pearls. But let us try. We should submit ourselves humbly. Let us buy pearls from Krishna. So now the gopis, they secretly stolen the golds, different golds from their elders, from their palaces, in order to buy or bribe Krishna to give them pearls. So they approached the gopas, the core boys. But the core boys, they reluctantly wanted to give anything to the gopis. They told them that even a small broken pearls, we want not spare any single pearl with you. Remember when you try to embarrass us when we ask you for some pearl for our cows, because Krishna, you know what he did? He only not like decorated his cows, but he also decorated the monkeys, the buffaloes, and other animals with valuable pearls in order to show to smash the pride of the gopis. And finally, Radharani surrendered to Krishna and she asked Krishna personally to please give us some pearls so we can we can return the pearls from our elders. So Krishna, he made a beautiful necklace of pearls, and he first presented it to Srimati Radharani. And after that, Krishna gave all different pearls to the gopis, to all the cowherd girls, and they enjoy their pastimes. Okay? Jai Jai Sri Radhe! So that is the pearl story. So, and this story, it happens here. You can see in the picture, show the deities. So this deity, it is called Moti Bihariji. Sri Sri Radha Moti Bihariji. So Moti means pearl. So Krishna is on the left and Radharani is on the right. So it is located in Muktakund, on Motikund. It is here in Nandagaon. That is the spot where Krishna planted the pearls. Okay. So show more. There is a kunda or lake there. Show the kunda. So, and show the other one before this. So there is a kunda before. There was no water. So this is like few years ago. So the kunda is like this. This is the area. This is the area where Krishna planted the pearls. And right now, show the water, the lake. So right now, this is the present condition of the kunda. It has waters now. So that's why they call it kund. So in this spot, this is where Krishna planted the pearls. They call it Motikund. Okay. Anything? So that is our lila for today. Actually this lila, it is it is a beautiful lila. It's like the conversation between the gopis and Krishna and the gopas. It's like they are trying to tease each other. They have some arguments. No, there are some exchanges of arguments, and it's really very funny. So it was written by Raghunath Das Goswami, Mukta Charitra Lila. So if you have the chance to get that book, it's a very nice book. So see, this one pastime is in a book. So it's actually a book. So and we just summarize it. But actually, this is a very nice pastime, especially their conversation. You will really laugh how they tease each other. It's like poetical and it's really nice. Okay, that's all for our pastime today. What is the time now? Do we have more time, or do you have any question? Wanted to ask something? Everybody still here?
Yes. Salamat sa sa pastime.
Yes, Prabhu. Rebati?
Jayo. May tanong sana ako sa topic natin ngayon.
Okay.
Di ba yung first expansion ni Krishna ay si Lord Balaram?
Yes.
Then, si Narayan ay galing kay Krishna. Then, yung Mahavishnu, doon naging di ba? Yung manifest, yung material manifestation, si Mahavishnu. Then, Garboda ka sa Vishnu, then Tesora ka sa Vishnu. Then, si Krishna, isa rin yung naging maintainer, di ba, ng all ng material manifestation, lahat. By the form of Lord Vishnu, di ba? Ngayon, yung demigods, di ba si Krishna present sa everyone's heart? Then yung mga, di ba, present din dun Krishna sa mga demigods?
Oh.
Sa kanilang mga
Yes.
Tapos, yung pala, di ba may kanya-kanya silang duty ng mga demigods? So, yung mga napansin ko lang, lahat na nag-worship sa demigods, mga demon, at nagpe-perform sila ng austerity. Mga demons, nagpe-perform sila ng austerity para magkaroon ng instant boon.
Boon, yes.
Yan, di ba? So, yung ano, nakalimutan ko. Yun Prabhu, yung ano, yung nag-worship yung mga